Good afternoon. It's almost 2 p.m. UK time. Yeah, let's have a look at the charts. Going to have a relatively short stream today. Yes, I'm back in London. I'm not in El Salvador at the moment. But yeah, I want to look at BTC today, and then I'm going to kind of go over TRVL, have a quick look at Quanx, and go straight into it. So my last stream was Friday, and I was thinking maybe we do an SFP of this low, and we didn't do that, huh? It just went straight up. So let's have a look and see what's going on. I'm just going to update the volume and hide this analysis. I'm going to also have a look at the order flow. So let me have a look at the order flow first. So last week, for some reason, XOCharts wasn't working, so I couldn't see the order flow. But here you can see the CVD is going down, the price is going up. I've got a big short that just closed out with a liquidation bubble. This is looking really bullish right now on the order flow. You can see that there's bullish divergence forming on the order flow. The CVD is going down, the price is going up. It's quite bullish locally, so that's good to see. That helps. So let's go to the chart. And so you're looking at the charts and you're thinking, should I buy now? Should I wait for the retrace? Is this the bottom? Well, look, let me just update the volume. You see what's happened is that the value area low has come down. So let me put the volume back in. So now we're trading back above the value area low. The point of control is still where it was. Got this high volume node. So we're getting a change in volume right now, but we've kind of cleared a whole bunch of liquidity, filled a whole bunch of gaps lower down. Had a really nice bounce, decreasing volume. So this is just a bounce. It's not an entry at the moment. We haven't had any kind of meaningful backtest, and ideally what we want, you see how we're back above this golden pocket. So we kind of lost the golden pocket, we're back above the golden pocket. What we want to see is we want to see a backtest of this area, and we can see that the golden pocket and the price is now trading above the golden pocket now. It's trading above the value area low. Actually, that was the high volume node. Where was it? I removed the wrong one. That's the value area low there. See that? So it's slightly lower. So what we're trying to do now, we're back into the value area, which is it could be a deviation from the low, from the value area. And now we're back above the golden pocket. So we've cleared a whole bunch of liquidity. We haven't gone down to take this low. And what we're looking at right now is a nice bounce. But what we're looking for is a back test. We're looking for a pullback. And so what I said before still stands. And so you still have these kind of trend lines. And so until these trend lines are broken and back tested for a higher high, then we're still kind of in a sell-off area. And then potentially we could go up all the way up to the point of control for another down before we can find some support to go up potentially. So that's kind of what's playing out now. Let's have a look at the weekly time frame and Let's see what that is showing us. Quite a nice bullish week compared to last week's sell-off. Last week we had a really strong buying tail in that sell-off. So there's clearly some support forming at the lows of last week. And so we're getting the buyback. Potentially what we want to do next week is go down, backtest and push up, depending on how this week ends. And so it depends. Do we get a piercing candle at the end of this week? It depends how this weekly candle ends, actually. And if I kind of bring these back in. Let me hide these fixed ranges. I'm going to hide and delete that. And get rid of these trend lines again. What we're looking for is to see how this week ends, actually. Potentially, it could either... There's so many ways it could end, and so we still have the weekend to consider. But do we get a bullish engulfing? Do we get a piercing? Or do we just get another sell-off for continuation to the downside? These are some questions. And so right now, it looks as though possibly with the bullish divergence that's forming on the order flow, it's looking probable, more probable, for some kind of bullish reversal candle forming on this week period that we're in. And what we want to see is if we get a piercing candle, and the piercing candle needs to close basically above in the value area. You see that from the previous week, which is $90,392 on the Bybit inverse perpetual chart. That's the chart that I'm using. So if we can close this week above this 50% mark, which is 90,392, that would be a weekly piercing. And then we're looking for another green weekly for continuation to the upside. Otherwise, we get a rejection and continuation. So there's kind of, next week is going to be very important for crypto, for Bitcoin, and actually that will also be how this monthly candle form. Right now the monthly candle's looking like a crazy sell-off, but it's decreasing volume and we're getting a really strong buying tail at the moment. And so we want to see how the monthly ends as well, because that we could see a higher time frame reversal form right here. So that, I think that's the most probable scenario, a higher time frame reversal. And we're getting really nice bullish divergence. The price is back above the golden pocket, is back into the value area. And so for traders, depending on where we put in the pivot, probably be looking for a retrace into support, depending on how we put the pivot here. If we put the pivot in here now, then we're probably looking to go all the way back down to the golden pocket. And the higher we go, the higher the chance we get to form support higher up and not necessarily go all the way down to the golden pocket, maybe somewhere where there's confluence. So it all depends on this pivot that's about to be put. How far up we go matters. So do we go all the way up to go down to the 382 to backtest for support for continuation to the upside? Or do we put a pivot in here to go all the way down to the golden pocket, which would kind of correspond with this high volume node? So there's a few variables here which is developing story. Can't really predict that, just have to keep an eye on the charts. But we're getting quite a nice bounce, but it's decreasing volume, you can see that. So it's not crazy bullish. So ideally what you want to see is increasing volume when the price goes up. You're not getting that. But we are seeing bullish divergences, and so shorts are being stopped out and closed. And market is still kind of in fierce territory. And so I think the market is just waiting for that to turn a little bit before the market starts to buy back in. So people aren't chasing, traders won't necessarily chase the pump. They'll be looking for a pivot, and they'll be looking for a good setup to go long. And then the question is, what happens next? Because we do need to break these trend lines. I think probably this first trend line will probably break quite easily. It's this outer one that probably matters more. If we are really in a bear season, if the bear season has started, we will probably just do that. That will be the next big sell-off. Okay, it'll be aggressive, be an aggressive sell-off. Okay, if the bear season hasn't quite started yet, then it is possible that we reject, we break, and maybe we go up to test the highs one more time for an actual real short opportunity. That's when the shorts will really likely to kind of get involved, and based on these current two pivots, if assuming that the current lows it holds, we don't take out the current low, then we have a golden pocket region at around 106. It kind of marries with a daily level there. Some end parks. Do we go up that high? Possibly, but if it is, it'll be an opportunity to short. Something like that. That possibly could be a massive short opportunity. Trying to push it all the way back down to the low, depending on how it happens and when it happens. And then it could just put in a higher low, and then the whole thing could be some kind of higher time frame upward channel, or we could be forming a head and shoulders pattern. So there's a couple of things that could be forming here. If it's a higher time frame channel, it could just keep on going, couldn't it? And that's, we don't know what's going to happen. If it's just a head, if that would form the right shoulder of a head and shoulders pattern, then you can see the head and shoulders pattern clearly, can't you? You can kind of see it. It's like that, potentially right shoulder, break the neckline, back test, and then down we go. Yeah, assuming that we can take out this neckline, break it and hold. Okay, but the minute you take out these lows, then your confirmed continuation of bearish market structure and the probability of a continued sell-off are much higher for continuation down to somewhere around, who knows, 54k. Okay, but you can also get situations where, depending on the market, depending on how the market reacts at certain levels, where you continue putting in some kind of higher low, and you just follow this like a channel like that. I mean, ideally, if that was to play out, you're probably looking to go much higher and take out the all-time high again, aren't you? Because then you're looking to go up and down, and it's just whatever. It's just a continuation of an upward channel. Yeah, and that could go on for a while. It'll shake the market out if that happens. I think probably that's the most likely scenario, that we go up, reject, and fall back down. And right now what you're looking for is the price to reject, backtest some kind of support level and hold, possibly this golden pocket that's been lost and potentially recaptured off the value area low. Once you get back into the value area, then you have a clean setup for a long. All the way up to somewhere around 106 at the very least. It's kind of what you're looking at the moment. For a reaction and then all the way back down, and then we have to see what happens, because you could quite easily put in a higher low to go up again. Or if you take out the lows, then you've actually, with a little bit of sell pressure, you could end up with a crazy head and shoulders pattern. And this one is big. This one is big and potentially you could go all the way down to take out this low, but probably going all the way down to here over a period of time, and then the bear market really has started. Okay, and so we don't know. And the thing is, a lot of people are saying bear market started, this is bearish, we don't really know. No one really knows what's going to happen. No one can predict the future. It's just a balance of probabilities. And at the moment, because of the bearish CVD, the bullish CVD that's forming on the order flow, because of the reclaiming, potentially reclaiming this golden pocket, potentially coming back into this value area, it's actually starting to look a little bit more bullish right now for long setups for a lower high. That will be the first kind of big target, a golden pocket of the all-time high to this pivot low that was put in on the 20th of November. That's the most likely probability, a setup for a long to go up. And then obviously longs will take profit. People who wanted to short or got trapped will look to exit, and then you get sell pressure. And if you, depending on how the sell pressure forms, will depend on the next move to the downside, and the veracity of that move will depend on trap shorts at the lows. Okay, that's kind of where we're at right now with Bitcoin. It's nothing really more to add, except that when I look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, yeah, it's kind of, it looks like it doesn't look strong, huh? So I don't think the market is looking for Bitcoin to be weak, huh, at the moment. Bitcoin wants to be weak, this is going to start flying up, and at the moment it's kind of going sideways, potentially consolidating for another move to the downside. I don't know how long that will take, but that's kind of what I have in mind at the moment, because we have broken this upward trend on Bitcoin dominance, and a lot of altcoins have been kind of bottoming or trying to bottom or selling off, but a lot of altcoins are really cheap at the moment. So when you're looking at your altcoin portfolio, you're freaking out probably, but relatively speaking, a lot of the altcoins, Sui's at 1.5, ENA is cheap, Solana looking quite cheap. A lot of altcoins have kind of sold off in a very detrimental way. So when people are looking to buy back in, they'll be looking at the altcoins again, won't they? They won't necessarily be looking at Bitcoin. And so it's the same problem, isn't it? So that's kind of where we're at. Do we form an invert head and shoulders pattern on a higher time frame to go down and break the neckline for a big move to the downside next year sometime? Don't know when that's going to be, potentially March, April, who knows? Or do we continue this upward channel and continue going upwards? I think no one really knows. Okay, so you just kind of have to take it level to level. At the moment it's looking quite bullish, with bullish divergences forming on the CVD, so you'd think there's still there's still room to go up here. That's what you'd think. All right, that's Bitcoin. I hope that helps. Let me quickly have a look at the SPX. The SPX is kind of bounced again. I mean, the SPX is going up with decreasing volume, but it's not looking like a crazy sell-off yet, is it? At the moment, the SPX is in a bullish engulfing candle. Could that be a bull trap? It could be, huh? So you have to be careful about that. The Russell 2000. It looks like a clean bounce off the value area high, which is actually quite bullish. It didn't go further down, it didn't fall back into the value area. It had a nice bounce with a bullish engulfing candle forming on this weekly time frame. So I don't know if it's as weak as people think or are saying. Okay, so this food for thought. Let's have a look at gold. Yeah, gold is still going up, and so I think we'll know when gold really sells off, and so gold hasn't really sold off yet. Maybe gold is topping out. Maybe gold is topping out, because then we could get a rotation from gold into risk on assets when everything looks like it wants to rip. That's when we're going to get the real rip, when gold starts to sell. Looking at gold against Bitcoin, there's a kind of like a bearish harmonic forming here against Bitcoin. Don't know which pivot you would necessarily take. Possibly that one. Something like that. It's a bit of a bearish harmonic forming here, so possibly we get gold sell against Bitcoin. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go down, because here there's so many times we had something similar like that and it still went up. See that? And slightly different. Slightly different. Kind of still went up. Here you see here against Bitcoin it put in a lower low, and here actually we haven't actually taken out the low yet. So right now I think gold against Bitcoin is looking bearish for gold. Maybe we do come back down to test the lows against Bitcoin again, and that will be quite good for Bitcoin. It'll be good for Bitcoin. Is it good for the rest of the market? Just have a look at the rest of the market. Well, we did break these kind of outer trend lines, and we're just coming down to test. So that's usually what happens. You get a test and then you get another rally. This is total 2. See that? Total 2 and total 3. We had these breaks. We're getting these kind of pullbacks for a back test on these total 2 and total 3 market caps. So maybe not unexpected. We're not getting a crazy rip to the upside. It's kind of going up gently, but the problem is a lot of these, dare I say it, weaker coins or kind of degen coins are really selling off. And so it's not the same type of altcoin market that we've experienced in the past. It's clearly going to be something different this time around. Now, am I expecting a crazy altcoin season? Probably, yeah. Probably still expecting that. Probably. It's usually going to take place when no one expects it, or people get really bearish. Usually. This is others against BTC. When it peaked in January 22, look at that. It was at 9.4. Is that million? Now it's down at 2.4 million. So there's like a 4x potential growth to put another high in. You can see that others against Bitcoin has just been selling off. Is the low in? It's possible. It's possible. Back above the point of control here. No, we're kind of not above it yet. So we had a bit of a liquidity run to the downside. Let's have a look at ETH BTC as well. Still trying to find support on the point of control. And this is a total point of control against Bitcoin. So it's not a bad place to be, actually. It's not a bad place for ETH against BTC to find support. If it does find support, then the next target will be the value area high and possibly that outer trend line at the highs there all the way up to there. So it's food for thought. That's kind of my overall analysis, very quick.